Hi, I'm Kat Fowler,
And I'm Amy Sikarskie.
and welcome to our seventh episode of Conversations with the Council of Light. So, I'm the host of the Soul Awakening podcast. I'm an energy healer and a reader, and I'm interviewing Amy, who is an intuitive channel and the co founder of Spirit School and author of the Starseed Ascensions series with the books Messages from the Councils and Activating the Starseed. And before we start, just make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications if you'd like to receive updates of future videos.
Yes, and if you enjoy the content of our conversations, please give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with a friend.
And also, if you have any questions, submit them to the Council of Light questions at gmail.com. And then when we do a viewer question episode, we will incorporate those. So it's been a while, and I'm excited to do this interview.
Yes, I am too. It's been a minute, but I think, it was nice just to have a little break and I'm ready to flow back.
Yeah. Well, today's episode there's two main themes, and we'll see how it goes because it always flows around. But I give you a little heads up, but we'll see what they have to say and about the topics at hand. So,
Perfect. Okay, so let me connect in and then they'll come through and we'll get started. All right, one moment. Yes, we are here, and it is a very joyful opportunity for us to be here with you today. Greetings, dear friends, and here we are again to have a conversation. We are very delighted and looking forward to the questionings, and we will let you begin when you are ready.
thank you. I'm excited to talk to you guys. It's been a really long time. A lot is happening on the earth plane, as you know. Um, so we'll talk a little bit about that maybe in the future, or maybe later in this episode. But so I figured today we would talk a little bit about ethics, like ethical rules and things like that. And then a secondary topic would potentially be contact, depending on how far we go. So
Ah,
yes. So my questions came from regarding ethics. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and so they have this law called the Prime Directive, which is just the law of non-interference. And I know that's very similar to cosmic law. So I wanted to ask you about that, and if that is something that all star beings and interdimensional beings follow, this law of non-interference, and if you could explain that.
indeed, indeed. Well, many do follow this regulation, as we call it, and those who have a high level of consciousness and intelligence and are leading with a heart space, the energy is resonating and pulling them forward where they want to do goodwill, and they are trying to be a part of a system and a whole unit where the flow is set forward with understandings from all, that there would not be interference in certain and specific ways, you see. But there are lower levels of consciousness, there are other dimensional frequencies and realms that are not, so to speak, of, that are not alien, as you would call, or that are not star beings, but they are lower forms of consciousness. And by that, we mean they are heavier or slower, or they have not advanced in their level of evolution, and they are around the earth plane, and they are conscious creations. And there is some intelligence to these frequencies that are in astral realms, and they may interfere, you understand, but they are, for the most part, were created or supported by the frequencies of Earth. And the frequencies of Earth are a combination of the intentions and the consciousness of the human spirit and being, which is in a human body and form, and also any other star beings who might have a lower vibrational frequency, whom have found a space on your planet, we shall say. And let us do share that there are many aspects of the star beings and nations. Many of us are not in a physical form. Many of us are not in or upon your lands on the shores of Gaia. Many of us are in higher spaces and stations in the skies. So many of us are in crafts outside of your solar system, or crafts hovering outside and around of the Earth platform. But there are some beings whom are in a physical body, whom have come into the earth plane consciousness, that are not human in nature. And this is how these frequencies were able to come in and commingle with the human spirit and the human consciousness, which then exacerbated and created all of these mixtures of life, we will call it. But it is not a soul, it is not a spirit, it is a mixture of frequencies of thought and emotion and attention or intention. And these frequencies are governed by the frequencies on the earth at a certain set point. So as you are seeing within your space at this current moment of time, there is much energy flushing out and releasing. And within that, there are many thought forms, and there are many low vibrational critters or properties that are festering up through the dimensional planes of consciousness to be released and to be cleared. Some of you may have different terminology for these experiences, and some of you may say these are ancestral or quantum or deep-seated emotions that have been trapped within the Earth's frequency for many eons of time, through eons of time, for many hundreds or 1,000 years, you see. And it is clearing and it is releasing. And so you see, there is another aspect to this which we would like to share with you, and that is where the beings of consciousness that would be considered light beings, angelic frequencies, star beings that are from a higher realm of consciousness that have incarnated in a physical body. And they have done this to and to level the playing field, you see. So they have done this so that they may come in a just way to assist, so that there is not an overtaking from the outside, but there is a introduction to the light and the consciousness and the aspects of advancement from a human perspective, from a human being. Many of you whom are a star seed, and many of you whom would consider yourselves to be from the angelic frequencies, would notate that you have felt human. You have felt that you were, for most of your existence here, a part of this society and role-playing within the communities, and you have been instructed or indoctrinated that you were a part of the human realm, unity and consciousness, you see. And it is only recently that many are waking up to understand that there has been a veil placed over them, and while they are human in form, their soul properties are from the star frequencies or the angelic kingdoms. And so as they are discovering their birthright and whom they are, their very soul, source, and core center, they are activating. They are merging with the light of all, and this light of all is then being anchored upon the earth plane. This is a very beautiful transition. This is a very just way for the other beings of consciousness to come into the reality and assist the humans. For it is not a takeover. We are holding your hand. We are partnering with you. We are walking you through. And we whom have been coming in as a human are also experiencing limitations. There are many limitations in the human form that we do not have outside of the human form, you see. So it is a great gift, and there have been some sacrifices of freedom for the star being to come into this reality. But as they advance to their highest state of evolution and consciousness whilst in the human form, they are receiving and understanding their soul properties and their advanced gifts, as you would call them. And so we are assisting in such a way. And does this make sense? And are there additional questions that you might have from this information?
Yes, there's several questions, and this is like a side note. So this is a side question, but I was thinking about what you last said with the gifts that are being activated for a lot of star beings in human forms. And I'm wondering about, in particular, these Chinese super psychics. These children, they're now adults for the most part. They've been studied, it's proof, but it's hard to find the books. And they can do really supernatural, amazing, we call it supernatural, just natural things, telekinesis, all sorts of advanced clair-gifts. So would you consider them to be star beings? What would be their role in this whole awakening?
Yes, indeed. They come from an advanced civilization from the future of time to come back to show the human what can be done. And there is interference, as there always is, with governments and systems of organization and control that would try to quiet this information. So it didn't get out, you see, and it was studied, and it was joyful, and there were many who felt intrigued and inspired by these gifts. But then there were those who would say, we must not let this information out. As such, other technology and scientific information and free energy has been stifled in the past, and this is what they are trying to do. When you say, we have heard of them, but we cannot find it so much readily available. But you see, it is okay, because their frequency is creating a shift, and they have brought about the understanding of these advanced opportunities. We are saying advanced to the human. These are natural states of consciousness and natural states of being from a higher level of existence. And by that, we are saying further into the future of time in the human realm of consciousness. And so you might say that some of these beings were star beings. Some of these beings may also be humans from the future that incarnated back with an understanding, or you might say time traveled. There is some assistance in this. But there is assistance with the higher levels of consciousness from the star realms, although we will not acquire or state or say or claim that all of these beings are star beings at their soul nature, you see. Mm-hmm. However, the physical makeup of the physical body, the properties are made of stardust, and they do come from off your planetary systems. So it may be that there were some whom are natural to Earth, whom were incarnating first on the Earth plane, that have advanced in their properties with the assistance of their future self coming back through time to assist them to unlock the codes within the DNA and to activate the light body and the frequencies, and to train with them and the soul levels of consciousness. And you do understand that there must be a level of separation from what is believed to be here. It is believed, it is a mass programming that you cannot float, let's say, or the telepathy or telekinesis is not a thing. So these beings have had that programming cleared and erased, and they are limitless in their understandings. And from this space of innocence, we will call it, because it has not been tainted, this is where they are met with assistance from higher levels of creation to assist them in playing, as they will feel it was at one point, with these gifts and abilities. But some of them are feeling it a great burden now, and some of them are working through the emotional states and the consciousness of what is happening on Earth, and questioning their role indeed, and if what they are doing is making a difference. And we are saying it is, for there are many whom are made known of them, and just even their light and the opportunity that they demonstrated here has created a shift and a ripple for change, which will come into the future more and more in the reality and be made known in years to come at a greater level to the societies upon your planets.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they're primarily located in China, too, of all countries.
Okay. Yes, indeed.
So when it comes to what we're speaking of and information being given, and the role of how we were saying certain things being intentionally hidden or intentionally programmed for us to not believe our true potential or what's actually already out there, which is certain technologies and whatnot. So when this is going on and all of this is really already happening, but there's a governing force that says, no, it shouldn't be revealed because it will damage the economy, their own reasons. But yet, all the star beings know this and all the angels know this. And there's lots of people channeling. Where does this law of non-interference come in? Where's the boundary for what you can share and what you can't share? How do you make that decision when it comes to this information that is technically from our quote unquote future?
Well, much of it has been shared, you see, but it is not made readily available for the safety of those who are involved within it, because we are doing a dance. We are playing through realities. Here we are very concerned and aware for the protection of the human form. Because if the human form is ended and there's no more, then the information will be lost. So there are many whom have the information and are holding on to it until the time is safe, you see. And this is where there are other waves of light, warriors of light, who are coming in. And they are coming in from another perspective or angle to wake up the system. And so this is why there is much to be said for the variety of aspects that are interplaying here. And you even see it in your upheavals and the warrings and the demonstrations upon your planet at this time. There are many accusations, and there are many perceptions or perspectives of what is right, what is just, what is true. What we are saying, it is all playing a part. There is a role for every being whom is here. And for those whom would fight against the light, they are calling the light to stand up into their truth, you see. So there are some whom are playing that role, and some are aware and some are not aware that they are playing that role. But there is an aspect here where consciousness is already increasing. And this is where towards right before grand opportunities for information to be made known at a greater level, you will see that there is oppression strengthening to try and hold the information back. But there are many on the shores of Gaia whom are aware, whom are awaking and shifting. And through generations, it will become less and less of trying to confine and enslave or hold back these gifts and this information. It is being held back and censored based upon fear, and the fear will be fear of lack of control and fear of power, we are saying. So those whom are in power do not want to let go of their perceived power over the human race. And so it is shifting, and it will take a little bit of time, but every moment that occurs, you will see there are opportunities to understand from a variety of perspectives what is happening. And so this is why we have said you must proceed forward with love in your heart and compassion, staying a sovereign being so that you are not taken out of balance. It is very important to cleanse and clear your field and to stay in a space of balance so that you may emotionally be able to hold stability and energetically be able to hold the light for mankind as this information is woven out of the system and worked through, you see. And at that point in time, once it all settles, new advancements in technology will be readily available and accepted by the advanced human society.
And you were saying essentially that for the purpose of humans not existing anymore, meaning that the information can be used for not positive outcomes. Would that happen? Because to my understanding, with this advanced technology, or if anything really happened, let's just say like the movie Independence Day, like it just couldn't happen. There's too many variety of, there's too many beings and different races around that just wouldn't let that happen. So that's what I've heard. Can you please expand upon that?
Yes, to your understanding, it is true there is much protection here for the advancement of life on Earth. But we were speaking of, if we understand correctly your question at the beginning of our answer, we were speaking of the individual human who would hold the information, that if they were to speak about it too soon, that the dark forces that are already active on the planet will continue to shut them down. And you have seen this in your history. Mm-hmm. You understand. So that's what we were speaking about. But to further expand upon your question, there is much support through the different realms and kingdoms. And Gaia has a lot to say about this. And she is called in the star beings. She's called in the angelic frequencies to rid the earth of the toxicity that has been brewing and bubbling for time, for eons of time, we are saying, because it is a grand jump or leap, the transition into the fifth dimension and beyond. And these frequencies are no longer compatible with where Gaia has where she is now. She has ascended. So where Gaia is and where the intentions of the human race is set to proceed into. So we do not see the ending of life on earth. We do not see the ending of the human form. What we do see is a very gentle and beautiful expansion of the gifts and the opportunities, and the turning back on of the telomeres in the DNA that you need to have a longer, expanded health and livelihood, and that you may activate your star frequencies, and all of the chakras might expand into a greater state of strength, health, and capacity than where they are now. And through capacity, we mean heightened intuition, intuitive capabilities. And you might also begin, as the physical form switches and changes to a lighter carbon copy, as the physical elements change within the physical structure, you may see that the light being will have more say in control over gravity and over telekinesis, you see.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess I don't know if I'm saying it properly, but I'm wondering if there was somebody that knew everything that could potentially happen in the future, including things that could potentially shift the tides and take the people out of power that are in power and move things along very quickly. But that would probably technically be interference. I'm guessing, like, why would that be interference, but then sharing of information that's on a smaller scale not be? Like, where is the judgment of what can be shared and what can't be shared?
Well, we see these as two separate experiences. So the first, if someone from the future would like to interfere, they may share information, but their strength may not be strong enough to overcome the collective, the resonating consciousness of the collective. So they can bring information back and through, but there are some who would be fearful of it because that information could then lead to them losing power in their current now moment or in their future spaces. So then it would be that they would try and shut down the information. So it is not against ethical beliefs for them to share it, but there is a safety and a concern for those whom would try and release the information in your now time, that it would be pushed against by the establishments that are in a high level of power, we shall call it. But then you see some of it is already being leaked out. And so the more and more that the human consciousness lifts and expands, they will claim their freedom, their sovereignty, and they will begin uniting, and their light will take over and flush out the darkness at a greater degree. Does that make a sense, or is that another aspect that we did not touch on?
No, it does make sense. And I do know that, karma exists here, but I'm wondering, does karma exist universally in the higher realms, or is this really solely an earth law that we abide by?
Well, there is an aspect of a give and a take, and a response in all of the realms of creation. But karma is a little different here on earth because it doesn't fully clear until it is cleared on the earth planes, and it is a balancing of sorts. And but there are different viewpoints upon karma, you understand it to be. So we are saying it is a balancing of energies and a healing of frequencies. And there are also individual aspects of karmic relationships that will be working, the individual being will be working through them through many lifetimes while they are on earth. There is an aspect of the spirit and the soul in the higher realms of creation. So the star beings, we call it higher realms because it is off of earth and the frequency is a little bit faster. And so in these realms of creation, there is a understanding of emotion and a right and a wrong and a giving and a taking. And but it is a little bit different than the karma. It is typically dealt with in the present moment with full understanding, whereas on earth, many whom come back will feel that they are tested and that this has been a trial because they have forgotten about the past experience from the other life. And so the karma that they are working through, they need to understand it from a soul space where they are connecting with inside at the heart center. The information is not always made known in another sort of way where they have clear, concise understanding through their memories.
I'm wondering, so this is taking me on a tangent a little bit, but I'm wondering with the concept of this like karmic aspect and how it's similar, but it wouldn't be called karma. Is this really only for beings or energies that have a soul? And because there's a lot of energies out there that don't have souls. And so I'm wondering about, if they're affected by these laws or rules cosmically, as opposed to just when you have a soul.
They are not. These frequencies that do not have a soul, either they are programmed that run rogue, or they are expressions of consciousness from another being or entity, whom the entity might have a soul, you see. But as you understand, when you are doing energy clearing and healing, releasing of foreign substances from the field, they are cleared away and they can be transmuted in the light with the assistance of a higher vibrational being of consciousness. So an archangel would be a good being to work with, and the Christ consciousness would be a beautiful frequency to work with. And that is not so much a giving and a taking. It can be cleared and it can be released immediately. Karma is for the advancement and understanding, the learning and the experience of the human soul or the being whom is in human form to play out through the dynamics of duality on the earth plane, you see. So it is a very different aspect.
Yes, because I've heard, and I won't just name names, but I've heard that there's several star races that essentially are tied to the Earth ascension and human beings and humanity's ascension from past and previous transactions. And even if they're in a much higher frequency band, they can't ascend until we ascend. And so that's why I'm wondering about this, like, karmic tie, and how even if they have souls but they don't reside on earth, how they can still have this tie to humanity and these ties to Gaia and our ascension, even though they don't live here.
If there is an energetic connection, and if they did infiltrate or come to visit or assist in whatever way the planetary system, and they are still do not have the business finished. If it is unfinished business, it is not healed. And if their actions that they one time created a shift, or if their actions at one time embedded upon the consciousness of us, they have a duty to those. And so they may try to heal it or correct it, but they will be tied to it until it is cleared and humanity advances, you see. So that is a true, because these souls had an interaction at one point in time on the planetary system.
That's so interesting. Does that apply to all planets and all star systems with any star being?
Generally speaking, it does, because we have, how shall we say it? We have a right, and our consciousness has a duty to be responsible for our actions. And so if we create a disruption within another organization, so another planetary system or colony or living structure, we will have a responsibility to this structure. And so if we come upon and we create a disruption that limits their advancement or that hinders their growth or their spirit in any way, that is a link, you could say, that is a connection energetically where we are tied to it. And you could call it karma if you would like to, but we are just saying there is an energy of responsibility. And so until all is made whole and healed, and it is either brought to a space that would be we will use the word better. It is a very linear aspect. But if they're brought to a space that is better than where one had found them, then they can release and go. But at the minimal, they would need to make sure that if it's a colony or a planetary system, that it is stabilized and all is well, or it is how they have found it before they interfered, you see.
And around what dimensional field? Because I've heard people say, well, above the 7th and 8th and 9th dimension, if you reside in that frequency, you just cannot create distortion. But I don't know if that's true. So I'd love to hear what your opinion is on that.
Well, there are different aspects of it, you see, because there are intelligent beings who do not live in your planetary system that have ways of interfering, and they are not in a higher space of love and intelligent consciousness in this way, you see. So just as the humans, many understand that there is life outside of the physical body, and you can telecommunicate, and you can send your visions and your thought forms through astral, well, you could do astral projection, but we are just saying looking, so perceiving what is happening. That can be done from other spaces and stations in the skies where they are not high vibrational beings of light and consciousness. So there are different frequencies, and then there are different realms. And so we would not limit what you are saying. We would not limit that. But the frequencies set upon planet Earth and the realms on planet Earth are a bit different than what could be off of planet Earth, where you are surrounded by the grid structures. Remember, we had the 12, and after the 12 to the 16th. And between the 12 and the 16th is where we are here, the star beings and some of the angelic frequencies around and surrounding Earth with a lot of care and interest. And then as you drop down from the 12th, all the frequencies within the realms there have some form of connection or dedication to planet Earth. And as you expand higher in these realms of frequencies, whilst around Earth, it tends to be that it would be that much more challenging for distortions in the higher levels of reality. So outside of the Earth consciousness, there are wormholes where traveling can take place, and that is advanced technology, but it is not always how shall we say, as you understand from the past, there has been some infiltration into the planet from beings that found a way in that probably didn't have the best interest at heart. So there is a lot to be said about this, but upon your planetary system, as you are advancing through the 5th, the 6th, 7th, and 8th frequencies within the realms on Earth, you will see that it becomes to be more full of light and more stability and less distortion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. And so dealing with ethics, my last question on this topic is, are there any other laws that you must abide by, like cosmic laws? Are there any other laws that govern the Milky Way or, the galaxy that we reside in when you don't live on Earth?
Well, we would ask who enforces these laws, you see.
Yeah.
So there are guidelines, and you could say like a badge of honor, oaths that one would hold themselves to, or star nations would hold themselves to. So it is a aspect of collective communities coming together to protect the sacred structure of Earth, and to assist through their protection, the upheavaling of what is happening now. So they are working as emissaries of light. There are many beings around the planet that are counteracting, communicating with, and trying to be the go-between from any beings that would like to cause a ruckus on the Earth plane that should not be here. So it is more that we are saying there are many beings of light that have created a light, how shall we say it, a border or a barrier to try and keep it from being infiltrated, while Earth can resume her growth and development and just container for the humans and whatever frequencies are here to work through the energies and to clear and release these energies. So at this time, we cannot just say that there is an understanding, but the laws that govern your lands are being looked over by many star races. And it is not to say that it is like a law of physics where it cannot happen. It could happen that there would be outside forces that did not have Earth's best interest at heart to come on to the planet. But this is where the higher vibrational consciousness and the intergalactic federation of light and all of the star beings and the angelic frequencies are holding a barrier and a protection around Earth. So it is our hope and desire that Earth can clear and clean up and heal and expand in a smooth transitionary way. There will be upheavals, but as a broad way of speaking, forward or higher in the vibration without so much additional interference from many beings trying to come in and take over or enslave the planet, you see.
And this is like a little bit off topic, but I know that we are eventually going to get into star races a little bit more. And so I'm just wondering cosmically, how are things cosmically right now? Like, are all the different races getting along? Because I know there were lots of points of wars that have happened in what we would consider our past. So what's the cosmic weather report?
Well, there is some upheaval, there is some distrust, and there is some looking from the side, wondering and questioning the intentions. But as the beings start to meet and greet one another and they come closer to the planetary system and they understand that all whom are here with a bright, beautiful heart for the betterment of humanity and to watch the show, so to speak, without interfering in a negative way, we will preface that in a negative way, then there is a little bit more merging and a little bit more trusting. So these beings of consciousness are ones whom would not ever come into the Earth system, and they would not be made known or show themselves physically. These are beings of consciousness that are spirits and souls from other spaces and stations in parallel realities and other cosmic planes, the universes, other existences. So they are here to watch over, and it is just as if you greet somebody and you say, "Oh, you are very different. Your vibration is unique, but what is your heart saying?" And then they understand that the heart is saying, "I am here for a good purpose and a reason," you see. So some of the star races will have beings who feel funny or don't resonate or click with the other star races, but there is a lot of respect. And as the first initial greetings have made their way through, we are finding that many communities are uniting to be a part of this grand arising. And the Grand Central Sun is also a hub for many beings whom are protecting and watching over the Earth space and the creation. So the further that you get outside of your planetary system and your cosmic lineage and history, the further out you see there will be some disruptions between races and warrings and misunderstandings and hiccups within. But for the most part, at this space and time, all are flowing very evenly and smoothly in their frequencies and not interfering with the other star nations in a way that would be detrimental. It is more just holding your frequency, and that is an acknowledgement, and there's a trust, and there's a respect at this point in time.
And is it true that there is like a galactic federation, a community where there's delegates of every star race and they meet? I heard they meet around a pocket in time around Jupiter. And I heard that humanity is involved. So is this all true?
let's just take a moment to see if we can collect some information based upon what you have received to play together so that it all lines up properly. So one moment. Indeed, there is the Federation of Light, and we have mentioned them before. The information about them being around Jupiter, we shall not say. It could be, but there could be movement as well. And as far as the Earth beings, the human forms being a part of this federation, yes, there are. There are some whom are alive as humans in a physical body, who do create through spiritual states of consciousness, who have conversations and are a part of these higher levels of communities and awareness, and that report to the Federation of Light or are in council meetings with the Federation of Light, you see. And there are many members of the Federation of Light that are speaking to important figureheads on your planetary system as well. So it would be that in their conscious waking state, they are receiving information from the Federation of Light here on the planet. And it is also that at the cosmic level or a spiritual state, that there is the soul consciousness expanding beyond the physical form to communicate with the Federation of Light, similar to the Council of Light, but it is the Federation of Light. They will pop up and go to be in conversation with them. And it is a different council body indeed. Different vibration completely, yes indeed.
Are the humans involved? Are they conscious? Are they consciously involved? Or is this more their etheric selves that are working with and they're not aware that they are members of or in communication with the Federation?
Both, but the ones which we were speaking of are consciously aware. Yes, indeed.
Very interesting. Okay. So I guess now I'll move on to contact, and we'll just start with when I say contact, it's broad, so it can mean physical, it can mean just a flash, an appearance, it can mean communication. But a lot of people now are talking about physical contact and how they're experiencing this in different locations. And so I guess the first question that I think will open up a lot of an answer for you and for the people watching is, how come some people are having physical contact experiences and how come some people just are not?
Well, it is, there are many aspects to this. So whom are they connecting with? Typically, it would be their star families, you see, their star communities. And additionally, they would need to be ready and prepared to make the connection. Because if they're not ready or prepared, it can bring fear to the contactee and a fright. And that would be detrimental. That would not be the cause or the purpose for the greeting, you see. So, so there are many aspects. Why is there connection? Whom is connecting? And are they the ones that are the contactees prepared? And to be prepared, they must be prepared in their psyche, having the fear vibration cleared from their system, clearing and releasing all forms of programming around contact. And they also, for many, will have an aspect or an element that they hold within their physical experience, so the physical body, but the energy as well, that would allow them to see these beings. Because many can feel, they can feel when their spirit guides are around their star family, but it is not always made known to them physically. So it depends upon the reason of the visitation and the preparedness of the contactee to receive the visitation. And yes, indeed, we shall leave it at that.
So what about in the case of light chips and seeing light chips at night or even during the day, and sometimes how they look like clouds? You know, a lot of people, I forget what they're called, lenticular clouds around Mount Shasta. So what would be the purpose of that? Yeah, I'll start with that.
So we are here. There are many whom are here, and it is a sign of support. And it is a physical manifestation for those who would wonder if they are making it up, you see. And in some existences, in some spaces of time, and in some moments, not all will see the ships. But you could be there with others surrounding you, and only you would see the ship based upon your level of vibrational frequency. What realm are you tapped into, and what frequency are you resonating in, and how are your clair-gifts? Are they clear and clean? Are they activated, you see? So some may see and others will not. Then when you come into the spaces like a Mount Shasta, you see, some may drive by and see the venticular clouds and just think nothing of it. Others will feel the energy from it and their heart will expand and they will know it is a greeting. So it is all about levels of a consciousness and levels of awareness. And even when it is physically made known, there is still for some not a heart connection. They are not understanding what is happening, or it is not important for them in their journey and that time. So in that space and time, you see. There are many who will go through life as a human, having their team surrounding them entirely and completely protecting them, but they have not ever made a conscious connection with them because spiritually they are supported and they do not find the need to do so.
Wow. And so I guess when it comes to visitations, I'm sure there's a lot of starseeds that miss home or miss the feeling of their family, and they want to start asking for visitations. So can you give the people watching some guidelines to doing this safely, or when it's appropriate to do so, and expand upon that?
Indeed. Well, we will say that for many, they have seen their star families physically or with their eyes, but it is very much easier and it is often more natural to feel them around. And so, in a meditative space, in a quiet, sweet moment, if you were to be present and aware and ask for them to show themselves to you, they may come in that moment or they may come at a later time. Many do come during sleep to start to prepare the psyche and prepare the body and speak to the subconscious mind about the coming visitations, you see. So do not fret or fear if it is not happening straight away. But also it is what is the purpose and reason? Because if you are going through a moment of time and this would be not supportive of your life mission or what you are working through, if it may become a distraction or derail you from what is at hand, then your team may opt not to show themselves, but you might feel that frequency around, you see. So it is a very individual experience. So we are saying if you are curious, keep the curiosity alive in your heart, your mind, and your spirit. So be aware and be like a child, just open to the possibility and open to the excitement, the joy, and the elation if and where it to happen. But these are things that cannot be forced. So an open, grateful heart, expressing a purpose and a need for it. If it is just out of curiosity, then it will be up to your families if they will choose to show themselves or not, because it is not a very easy feat to do so. There are much preparations and we have to shift our frequency and our consciousness at an energetic level to come into your reality for the physical human eye to see. But there are many who do activate and use the third eye who can see us, and we appreciate that because it is very much it's just very much supported, and it's a greater expression of partnership if they were to come up a bit and we were to come down a bit and meet in the middle, you see. And to do so, the human at this time would need to use their third eye to see us with their vision.
Yes. And so I'm wondering, from what I'm sensing and what I'm getting a feel of, is what do you see for the timeline for disclosure for ETs existing at all for the American people and for the world? Because I think it might be coming soon in a soft way, but with a lot of disinformation involved. So if you can clarify on that.
Yes, so we have already made ourselves known to select communities, and we have come through. We are speaking, we as star beings have come through in your past history. So there is already proof, and there is already understandings of this for those whom are interested or whom care. And so again, it will be about what is the purpose and reason. And so we will need to be making sure that the human consciousness is ready so that we do not interfere with life paths, because it creates a psychic shock. When we are saying that what will probably happen most, what we see would be not true. So these will be simulations of a contact, and there will be some disinformation released, and it may be done so for a form of fear and control again. So we are saying it is very important to meet your demon spirit at the heart space first. Then when you see them, you recognize their vibration and that this is true. And as you tune in to any future visitations, let your heart lead the way. And if something is off, then it is not for you. It is not resonating for you. Even if it is perhaps a different race of beings, you might not feel a connection, but you would feel that there is a truth to it. You see, you would feel the spirit to it. So we are saying you must feel into the energy signature, and if it is alive or not, or if it is just a mirage. But we would like to come through more and more, because there has already been contact with the human race. So again, it would be, what are the governing systems allowing, and what communities are ready to be visited. So let's see, for a time frame, let us look, one moment. It has not been made known yet. It is still in fluctuation. So coming from your space in time, looking forward, one moment. It does appear that the governing bodies of your military systems, the governing bodies will begin to leak classified information, or let information be known that there is life outside of the human experience. And slowly but surely, mankind and the younger generations will understand this and be curious about it. And we are saying that there should be, within your lifetime, contacts made at a global level, so where the communities are aware of such experiences. And yes, it will create some fear for some. This is why they must be prepared. And there must be a reason for it, you see, a reason for the connection. So we are waiting and working so that the humans would understand the reason for the connection. But thinking that perhaps about the 40 years out, and it will be very different space and time than what it is now.
That's beautiful. So I was wondering, we have a little bit of a limited time, but I was wondering how you would feel about going into individual star races, maybe just one, and I ask a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And before I start, I wanted to ask you the question, the spokesperson, where are you from? Like, what is your lineage and what do you look like, for the people watching?
Our partner is laughing behind the scenes as well. Yes. So I'm from, the voice that you are hearing is Palladian voice coming through, which is a stronger presence of the signature that speaks through. But there are many beings around from the Council of Light, and her council are here as well. So what do we look like? We can look like anything. So this time we are just a consciousness. But if I were to pick what to look like for most times, let's just see. I have different expressions that I choose to look like. And sometimes I have a blue skin. And I do like that sometimes, with very big eyes that are like glass, very translucent and beautiful eyes. It's very fun. I enjoy that costume. And then at the times, a female, very tall with long blonde hair. I enjoy that too. Looking more human in this one, you see, looking more like the human body. And it is nice. I enjoy it. But you see, we can shape a shift and the space where we are right now, the frequency is much higher. So it is energy with our consciousness kind of just formed to be around us. We are energy, and it is about how we choose for our energy to be perceived. So yes, indeed. So
Okay. And I
thank
was
you for
wondering,
this.
yes, I was curious. Because I'm wondering, because I know you have a little bit of an accent, and I know a lot of people speak light language. And yet, from my understanding in the higher bands, you communicate primarily telepathically. So I'm wondering then, do you still use your own language? Like, do you still vocally speak at that when you're in the dimension? I guess,
We
yeah.
speak telepathically, but in light language, you understand that it is a certain cadence and a beat and a tone. We
Mhm.
can send that through with the mind, the brain waves. If we choose, we communicate with our partner through visions, through pictures and imagery, and using her words. So sometimes we are trying to find the words, and sometimes we cannot find the word. But yes, so when we're speaking with her, but when we are speaking with the council, it is often we will do pictures sometimes, but postation if it is someone who is from our race that speaks our language. But there is an advanced level of intellect and awareness, and there are ways to communicate with the different beings through just the all-knowing presence that would encompass all of the sensories. So we may use scent, we may use vision, we may use emotion, we may use light and flashes of light to communicate, but it's all like in the mind and the heart, you would say. So
Mhm.
in this sort of way, it's different when you are in a physical body. The way of the speaking and communicating is different. When you are not in a physical body or a human form, we communicate a little bit differently with one another.
Because I'm wondering, all the star races, like Lyra, Sirius, Orion, I mean, they're all in, I think, higher frequency bands. So I'm wondering if they have their own languages that are spoken at all, or if it is primarily telepathic as well.
There are ancient languages that are spoken, and when you hear the light language that comes through from a human channel,
Hmm.
it is very similar to these ancient languages that are vocalized. And often the purpose and the reason for the light language is for a healing and an activation. And as a remembrance to bring you to that frequency, to help the soul and the spirit acquire more of that frequency from their soul space, we will call it, to pull more of that aspect into this physical reality. And that is typically the purpose and the reason. But you may go see someone who is a healer, and they may be maybe from a different star nation, and they may use their light language frequency, and you would feel that healing work being taken place in your physical or energetic body.
Hmm. And as spirit guides, because all, like a lot of us watching have star guides that haven't incarnated on Earth. So when you communicate, I mean, obviously you don't speak English, right? So like you understand though, you understand what's going on in our minds, because a lot of us think in the language. So some of us think in Spanish, some of us think in English, some of us think in Russian, whatever language you speak. Um, so how is that converted to you? And then how do you convert back the messages to your the person you're guiding?
Well, you see, we have been with them since birth, so we are learning the language along with them if we do not already know or understand it. But it is often where we are able to mirror, we shall say mirror their mind, so we can understand what they're processing, what their thoughts may be, if they're in a state of distress, if they are trying to communicate with us. Um, there are a lot of elements of being a guide, and there are ways to tune in and connect in. And there are moments in time where we respect the privacy, and we are not, there invading. We're not invading the thoughts. We are there when we are called or welcomed, and we are called by distress, or
Mhm.
welcomed through communication of thought. But yes, we individually learn how to work with our partners in the physical body, and it is pretty easy for us to quickly pick up the different languages. But often it would be, as you mentioned, whatever language our partner is using on the earth plane, we understand the languages, but we also communicate with thoughts and emotions.
Okay, thank you. Um, so I was wondering if you have a preference, please let me know. But I was thinking maybe we would start with Lyra or someone from Lyra, because I know that you've worked with that frequency before. Um, Or if you have another preference, we can bring in another race. And then I just have a similar set of questions for each of those races.
Hi, indeed. Okay, one moment, please.
Mm-hmm.
Just think who is here to step forward. Yes, hello, we are here. This is a very joyful opportunity. We are coming in a little bit more and a little bit more. One moment. It's a very soft landing in the body. Thank you. We are here as representatives of the Lyrian Star Nation, and we will be happy to assist you with your questions. We are adjusting with the body, so it may be a moment before you feel us in such a strong way, but we are here merging more and more with this physical form.
Thank you. So I guess I'll start by asking, similarly to what I asked the main spokesperson, but what do you guys look like? And I know that there's a range of different beings, but in general, what would your physical appearance look like as someone from Lyra?
Well, just on the planet Earth, you have many races, and there are different looks of the body type.
Mm-hmm.
The collective that we represent, we are tall and a bit thin, and you might say our skin has a bit of a purple, lilac purple frequency. Our light shines this frequency, and through the physical body, the body will take on that property. And we're very soft in our nature. we are very soft in our nature, and more etheric perhaps, or more emotional. We flow. We're very flowing in our energy and our nature, and we work in set communities that assist and come together to guide one another through their experiences in a loving way, in a community setting.
And so I know on Earth, from what we know, a lot of people presume that beings from Lyra are feline or have feline associations or appearances.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to that?
Yes, there are some of us who do. So we may feel the feline frequency, and there are some of us who, and our partner has seen one representative of her council, her personal council, has a more feline look about herself. And so there are these aspects. The big eyes, you see the shape, more angular shape of a feline face, but long and slender form. And as you see a cat, dainty, like they are floating or leaping and hopping, and it looks so easy, like they are gliding. That does represent our frequency. And there are also aspects of our nature that is very strong and regal. And we are tall and regal in how we would hold ourselves and our energy, you see. So that is an aspect as well of our frequency. We are very motherly, as you would think of a mother feline purring with her babies. We are very motherly, and we are very loving to our offspring, to our children.
And is there strong roles between masculine and feminine, or is it more androgynous?
There is a distinction and a respect for all, but the roles they are not as contrasting. So you would see some of the same similar characteristics as the nature on Earth, but it would not be pushed forward so much. It would be just contained. It would not be projected out as much. But there is a definite distinction. However, it is not intense, a a strong intensity in the contrast. And so it is subtle, yet you will notice it. So it's definite, yet subtle. And the more masculine beings of our space, they are very loving as well. Think of a gentle father. Think of a gentle grandfather, and you will understand.
Mm-hmm. And what dimensional frequency bands do you reside in primarily?
Well, we are in an active state of transition. So some of us have gone to the 8th dimension. Some can go up to the 33rd dimension. And it is about where we choose to be in a space of time and where our select little communities choose to be. We like to be around the 13th dimension, you could say. It allows us an opportunity to be closer to the earth, but not feel locked into the system of the earth structure. And this would be the group and the community that are working with the Council of Light and with our partner here.
Okay. And so also I've heard that your civilization they're the primary seeders of the galaxy. They seeded human life or humanoid physical life throughout the galaxy, and they moved from Lyra to, I think it was Arcturus. And so I'd love to know a little bit about that history, because a lot of people say that the race of Lyrians are the most ancient that exist in our Milky Way galaxy.
It is an honor to receive that, those accolades. Yes, we are ancient, and our ancestors came from other galaxies, and we are ancient, and we have many offspring that have traveled through time and through space to other star systems. We particularly find a beautiful resonation and a beautiful partnership with the Pleiadians, and this is based through lineage and timelines. And we were a part of the seeding of Earth, and the prototypes which we seeded have changed over time. The Pleiadians have been helping or working with that. So we have a very strong connection with Gaia. Our relationship with the spirit of Earth is ancient, and it was a commitment, and it was a partnership and a coming together when she was when Earth was being created. We see it as Gaia creating her physical structure. We were watching and observing and in communication and in support. When we did come through as one of the first aspects of life and consciousness, and it was not in a physical body. And then over time, descendants of the Lyrian nation assisted in creating the human form and life on Earth. So yes, indeed. Did that answer your question, or was there an aspect that we have not accessed for you?
No, this answered it. I'm wondering if you have similar reincarnation patterns as we do here, just obviously much longer lifespans. And even though you don't really abide by time, what would, like in Earth time, what would one of your lifespans be like? And also, I guess, do you choose to die, or do you age like humans age?
We choose.
Mm.
And many of us, it could be never ending, but many of us will choose to have this experience, and it would be thousands of Earth lives. And then we may choose, because we may wish to experience life in another star community, and we have spread out through many of the star communities. Those whom were here as Lyrians from the start have spread out through other star communities and gone through. Many of us have come through as Pleiadian, and so we do not fully. Let's see. When we leave this body or this community of the Lyrians, it is our choice, but we typically do so that we may step out, and it is a graduation. Typically do not come back as another Lyrian right away. Anyway, we would leave for a reason to leave, and then we may come back if we so desire to return.
Okay. And I guess my last question is, if you have any messages for any Lyrian Star seeds that are present and watching this video, or just any transmissions that you'd like to send.
The frequency is building. It is coming through. We ask that you breathe and connect in your heart. It can be hard for many whom are Lyrian to see the harsh expressions on earth. It's very harsh. It's very warrior-like and abrupt. Lyrians are not so much this way. We are just to say you are not alone. When you are done, you will come home. So thank you for bringing your beautiful frequency around earth and blessing and assisting mankind and your offspring and those who are in other star spaces and communities.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. It is very strong, and our partner, we're stepping away. Yes, and here we are again. Was there another star race that you would like to speak with?
Yes, but I do want to ask them all of the questions. And so I don't know if we'll have enough time because our interview is a little over an hour now, but maybe the next episode we can do maybe 3 of them in a row.
Yes.
So each race gets a transmission and gets to really fully describe and speak about their mission and who they are.
Yes, that would be really nice indeed. We're still feeling Lyrian, Palladian, many commingling frequencies, and we are smiling because the kitty has just come to the door. So of course she felt the frequency. Yes, we would love to communicate again at another time, and it might be a more gentle experience for our partner because there was a lot of Lyrian frequency that came through today, more so than in the past as a transmission was received. So thank you for this opportunity. And we will just take a moment to gently release all of our commingling frequencies from her being and let her come into body.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it has been a joy and delight to be here with you all today. Thank you so very much for this kind introduction today. Thank you. Okay, I'm coming back. Oh gosh. Okay. That was like so intense, but it was really beautiful. So loving and soft.
For me, I could the transmission is whole body.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
I can like feel my lungs trying to how would they say it? What's the word? Just adjust to the energy, you know, like pull it in really gently. Integrate, there we go. Like integrate their frequencies. That was interesting. So yeah, so nice. The energy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that was beautiful. No, I'm so glad.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, her energy felt really strong, and then the vision that I was seeing was really pretty too. So, yeah. Well, Thanks for asking. I never really have ever asked or tried to make such a connection. So it's so nice when I do the interviews to have. I'm a little curious myself and a little surprised, so it's really fun. So thanks for that.
Oh, I wanted to, and I also wanted to do it for the Starseeds that, like I said, may be missing home and really wanting to connect with that frequency, because I think there's a lot of, like, I'll say channels, and there's a lot of videos out there, and not everything is super pure. And so I wanted to give viewers the opportunity, ideally with each of the races that we go through, to feel and to also hear directly from a very pure interaction from each race. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for separating the frequency. That was really, really nice to have that opportunity. And then at the end, I could still feel the Lyrian. I mean, they're all around when they come through as a collective. So, but even right now, I'm coming more in my body, but I can feel around in the room. I can feel the energy. So it's really nice and quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks so much. And I am looking forward to the next one for sure. So that'll be really nice too.
Me too. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channels and you'll receive notifications when these new videos come out. And we very much appreciate you guys watching and sharing. And each time you share it with a new person, it opens and expands someone's awareness to what life is really existing and what life is all about. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. And be sure to check out the caption for the links. And we'll see you guys all next time. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to our interview series, Conversations with the Council of Light. We are very much looking forward to bringing you many more to come. You can find Amy online at amysikarskie.com, spiritschoolmagic.com, and on Instagram at amysikarskie. And you can find the Council of Light on Instagram at starseed_ascensions. You can find me online at catfowler.com and on Instagram at catfowler, as well as check out the Council of Light's original interview on the Soul Awakening podcast, which sparked the idea for this whole series. So we wish you a beautiful day filled with love, light, and peace, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show.